Be seated. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Trigger Guterman. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, allow me to explain a few things. What you're about to see is a live interactive drama. From time to time, we will require your input as to the course of these proceedings. For instance, you might see press or don't press, in which case you will be asked to vocally respond to your correct choice or your choice. If you make a correct choice, you will see this. If you make an incorrect choice, you will see this.
Let me ask again.
This will also be the case in the presentation of the evidence. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off. You may proceed.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Very well, Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement, please.
The prosecution will show that at 12:30 p.m. on May 22nd, the defendant, Trigger Guterman, attacked his fellow congoer, Victor Timothy Crowclock, in the lobby of this very hotel. It resulted in his death a short time later. There were several witnesses to the act, as well as other supporting evidence, so the prosecution feels that this case is already closed.
Is there any conclusive evidence, such as eyewitnesses, or perhaps a firm motive?
Not as such, Your Honor, but there's plenty of circumstantial evidence in this case to me.
Yes, I see. Very well, the prosecution may call its first witness.
I'd like to call the arresting officer to stand, please. Detective Gumshoe. Detective Gumshoe, would you please describe the case to the court?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was unclear who started the altercation, and eyewitness reports conflict on who was first to attempt to draw the weapon. Although they do state that one on who was young man was antagonizing the other. Either way, neither one had their sword piece bonded, and the results were grimly clear. Let's take a look at the floor map on the screen here. The murder occurred here, in the lobby of the air. I was entering through the entrance here when I saw them both having a struggle. I then saw them run down through the... I yelled at him, he then ran down the hallway and caught him in the dealer's room. The cause of death was blunt torch trauma to the right side of the head. The weapon used to deliver the blow was the pommel of the sword. In addition, the victim did not die on sight, but the way to the hospital.
Pommel? Pommel, you say? Was the defendant planning on doing some cheerleading at the opening ceremonies?
No, sir, not a pom-pom, a pommel. It's a part of a sword, specifically the part of great bottom.
Oh, yes, I see. Well, and you said you apprehended Mr. Trigger yourself, Detective Gumshoe.
Yes, sir. He almost got away, but he slipped into the dealer's room, but I caught him anyway.
Impressive. In any case, Mr. Wright, you may now begin your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, Detective, you seem to have been more concerned about catching the murderer than with helping the victim. At the time, he was still alive, so why go after the suspect rather than help Mr. Crowclock?
Well, I was walking with some convention volunteers at the time, and they rushed him to help Mr. Crowclock. Knowing they had it under control, I pursued the suspect.
Fair enough, but what about the crowds? From the floor plan, it's pretty clear that you chased him for quite a while before catching up. Did you ever lose sight of him in that time?
No, never. Not for a single moment.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure you must have at some point.
I promise, I never lost sight of the suspect. The moment I entered the lobby.
All right. Well, are you absolutely sure? You never looked away for a moment. I mean, there are some pretty attractive girls here. Some of them are barely wearing it.
Mr. Wright, the fact that you would imply that an attractive young woman would distract an officer of the law is insulting.
Hey, I shall.
All right. Well, I think the floor plan directly contradicts your statements.
I don't see how.
Neither do I. Oh, please present only the facts, Mr. Wright.
Well, the floor plan still does contradict the evidence. Take that!
Present.
That, do it! Let's take a look.
Take that! There's a supporting column between the entrance to the lobby and where Mr. Korflock was murdered. Not only did you see the fight, did you not see the fight, you also didn't see the murder until his back was turned to you. You never saw his face. Not only that, but you also lost sight of him when he entered the dealer's room. He had crucial few seconds to switch places with somebody in the crowd.
I guess you're right, but I was right behind him when he entered the dealer's room. I may not be able to see through doors, but I wasn't far behind him when he slipped away. How could I have promised a good move otherwise?
Yes, an officer who could see through things would be quite a great boon to the force, Detective. However, this new information seems rather important. Please amend your testimony to include it.
Well, I chased the suspect down through the crowded hallway after seeing him take off through the crowd, only losing sight of him for one moment when I entered the dealer's room. I was only a couple seconds behind, however, so of course I caught up with him and took him in.
Well, unfortunately, he's got me there. There's no way I can prove it wasn't Trigger he was following. I wonder if I should press on this. You said the weapon used to murder Mr. Crowflock was the pommel of a sword, correct?
Yes, it left a clear impression in the skull.
Well, why not just use the blade of the weapon?
Because it doesn't have one.
So we'll figure that out.
That seemed a bit strange to me too, but when Mr. Goodmuth was apprehended, we found out he was carrying a wooden sword that had no sharp edge to it. The pommel was a nice thing to use.
It seems he still can't even know it can't be drawn. All right, but I still have doubts about when the detective lost sight of the suspect. He could have easily switched places with somebody in the crowd, even if inadvertently.
Allow me to assuage your doubts then, Mr. Wright. I'd like to call my next witness to the stand, a convention worker named Pandatriki.
Yes, very well. Detective Gumshoe, you are dismissed.